Happy marriages can be happier, and shaky marriages can mend. Specific insight and custom codes work. Fix love now. It's the Marriage Code Podcast.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Obinna and Belinda Ndu here. And we've got our same two guests back with us today.
In the audience.
Yeah, we've got Craig and we've got Kisa. Lisa with the K. I keep having to say that to myself so I don't call you Kaiser, right? Kaiser Sose. Some of you, the guys are probably cracking up now. The ladies are like, what's so funny? It's a movie.
Great movie.
It's a character in the movie. It's an amazing movie.
Gotta see it.
Yeah. But listen, last conversation we had, we left off and we were talking about primary colors and we were talking about standing and holding the thing versus waving it, right? And we talked about what's the standard for marriage, right? That's where we left off. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I had a funny joke I was going to tell you guys now. I'm trying to think if I should share it.
Sure, go ahead.
You want me to say it? All right, so the standard. What if there was a standard? Screw it, I won't tell a joke. I'll tell a joke at the end. I'll mess it up. I'll come back to me. No, I'll come back. I promise. No, I'll come back. But listen, no, seriously, all jokes aside though, standard. In terms of marriage, babe, let me throw it to you first, all right? Yeah. What would that blueprint look like, right? We're not talking about morals, we're not talking about values, we're not talking about opinions, we're not talking about, anything that is individually specific.
Sure.
Right? We're talking about the standard.
I like to put it like this. Okay, so everybody know I wrote a cookbook, a vegan mom's survival guide, and I love it. So
me too.
And it has, one of the things I did is I spent a lot of time on the pictures in that cookbook. Mm-hmm. And I was very unhappy with my last printer because I don't like the delivery of the pictures. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter how it's printed, the words are going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
But the pictures, that's the promise.
Right.
You get it?
Right.
Now, in a relationship, when you see a happy family on Instagram, or you see a happy family on social media or in person, that picture is only the promise. So you can do whatever you want to put this promise together, but if you do not follow that recipe, you're going to have a big bowl of mess. Yeah. So again, the picture of what marriage was intended to be is what you can have if you follow the standards. If you follow the
recipe,
rules or the recipe.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great way to put it. And I love that because it's the same thing we were talking about in the last conversation, really, in terms of the primary colors, right? You use those 5 or 4, I don't even remember exactly what it was. Some kid can probably call in and tell us, but there's a standard. It's like 4 or 5 colors, and then you can make so many other colors from them, but that standard is there. And then all these other colors, though, like if I want to make, like we said, what is it? Orange and yellow will give me, what was it? Yellow, green and yellow will give me orange, I believe, right? So maybe
red and yellow.
Red and yellow. Okay, let's go with red and yellow. Sounds good to me. Somebody correct us. But red and yellow give us orange. But what if I'm looking for orange and I put purple and pink?
You're not gonna get that.
Why though?
Because it's the wrong ingredients.
But they told me to mix 2 colors.
Yeah, it has to be those specific colors.
There's a standard.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So if I want to make Craig's phone ring, his cell phone ring, and I put in Kisa's cell phone number, and Craig doesn't answer, am I justified to be upset?
No.
So then what was the challenge?
You didn't follow the instructions.
So it wasn't the phone.
No, it was your finger.
It was a standard it took to get to that line, and like you talked about,
Exactly.
And whether it was the colors, which there are 4 primary colors.
4.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
And how I will remember is north, south, east, and west, even though there's something in between as well.
Got it.
Going forward.
Okay.
But that's more refined in looking at. This is the way it's got to be done to get that, like you talked about, the picture, getting the picture.
The promise,
the promise. I love that. The promise of what that is. Now, the journey it took to get there, how many times you had to cook that recipe to get it, like you want it. That's part of the process.
That's right. I think the challenge is a lot of people, though, they throw in the towel the second time they try to cook it.
Yeah.
The first time they try to cook it.
Yeah.
They use this word called divorce.
Yeah.
I've told you this 1,000 times. How many times did it take you to get it?
Yeah.
You always?
Oh.
Every time? How many times did it take you to do it? That's where we always mess it up. It's a process. I saw this picture once. It was an older black couple. Somebody took it from like a balcony, and they were on the ground, and he's laying on his back and she's laying on her chest. No, he's laying on his back and she's laying on his chest. And you can see this love in their face. Simple words on the bottom. Back in our day, just because something was broken doesn't mean you threw it away. And I believe that when we understand that part of the process is that the things that happen are supposed to fuse, not confuse. But we get confused because we don't understand they're supposed to fuse. They're supposed to pull us to each other. So I, as an example, my wife's hair, when we first got married, I'm not used to long hair. I have short hair. She has long hair. I brush my hair. I have long hair in my brush. Okay, no problem. I'll throw it in the garbage. I brush again. There's another long hair in my ear. What is that? I'm at my meeting after I've left brushing my hair, and I'm like, what is this thing that keeps bugging me? Is it bugging you? Is there a gnat? Why am I the only one that keeps tapping my neck every 2 seconds? I reach back. It's her hair. Now I've got a choice. I can get highly upset. Why don't you and your hair stay on your side of the bathroom? Why are you even using my brush? Why didn't you clean my brush? There are 1,000 places I could blame her. And do you know people have gotten divorced over that?
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't understand the rules of engagement. They didn't understand that was the process. Guess what? That really did happen to us. I didn't make any of that up. No. I said that perfectly well because it was my experience. And so here's what happened though. We did argue about it. I don't know if it was once or twice. It was a small, heated debate, right? It was
in his head.
Difference.
Yeah, I was upset.
And I knew
I was upset about it. And we talked, right? But guess what? I made a choice though. This is what I never forgot. I made a conscious internal decision. You know what? Forget it. She's not going to pick her hair up. I'll pick her hair up. I promise you this.
Yes, he did.
And I started just picking up her hair. I walked in the bathroom, hair's all the way. I cleaned it up.
Yeah.
I didn't say a word to her. Didn't hold her hostage. That was the other thing. Catch that.
That's huge.
I didn't hold her hostage because a lot of people do. I'll clean it up. But you know what? You're going to pay.
Yeah.
Hi, baby. Hi, who? Shoot. Honey, can I have a kiss? I'm kissing you. That's how we make each other pay for little things like that. So I didn't make her pay. I have made her pay in the past for things I wasn't smart back then. I've let all that go. But here's my point, though. All of that was the process.
Yeah.
Guess what happened after that? Till this day, it's been years, we don't have a hair problem.
Right.
Not because she still messes up and I pick it up, but because she picks it up now. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
So rather than me pointing the finger and making her, telling her, trying to force her, taking her to the altar, I just altered me.
Yeah.
This is that do the work part.
Yeah.
I just altered me, which in turn did what, baby? It starts with an I.
It altered me. I mean,
Inspired.
And influenced her. Yeah.
Because one of the best ways, my mentor used to say, you want to get people to do something, don't say you go do it.
Yeah.
He'd say, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun if we?
Yeah.
And the person before you know it is doing it better than you.
Exactly.
So Craig, I know you had something you wanted to.
So tell me this. I mean, you all have this resource, covenant marriage. Yeah. My question: what's the difference in covenant and commitment?
Wow.
And why not
question.
Committed marriage?
Go ahead, baby. You touch it. I'll grab it after you.
So the reason why we chose the name covenant is simply because if you research and you study the difference between covenant and a contract, a covenant is so much greater than a contract. Today, in our day and age, unfortunately, most people get into a marriage as like, oh, well, I can stay married to them for a year, or, this is going to be my first marriage, or is my fourth marriage, So it's more like a contract. But the way God intended for marriages to be, it's a covenant. A covenant simply means that we've made a decision to do this together for the rest of our lives together. Either you die first or I die first, but whatever happens, we've created a covenant between us. And back when covenants were the thing to do, it was always taking under blood. And of course we didn't cut ourselves.
Blood oath.
Yeah.
It was an oath.
But so today our job or our desire is to bring back that way of thinking, to just take out of your mind, divorce is not an option. I mean, there are some times where, there are some, it's necessary.
Yes. Yeah.
However, that is the absolute last resort. As long as the two people are willing to do the work, then we believe that marriage is any marriage. Any marriage can work and be sustained if it's done God's way.
And I believe that one of the things to really even deepen what my wife is speaking of is that a covenant is more like an oath. Back in the day, not today, back in the day, early on in this country's time, there was a time where if you lied, I shouldn't say this country, certain countries, your tongue got cut off.
Yeah.
If you stole, they cut off your hand.
Yeah.
Why? And you look at those places, you say, oh man, they're so cruel. Look at the cruelty, the injustice. They're so inhumane. And you look at the crime rate and it's less than 3% in the whole country.
Yeah.
And then you go to the places that you consider humane.
Yeah.
You consider decent. You consider the standards of par. And then you look at the murder rate or the crime rate.
Yeah.
And you'll be lucky if you can get anything less than 50%. Why am I bringing this up? Well, which one is barbaric? Is it where people are getting killed, 5 out of 10 every week? Or is it where, in a month, we had the same death rate as that country did in a year?
Yeah.
So my point is, what you may consider to be barbaric has a long-term benefit. Now, taking an oath, a covenant, is not barbaric, but it has a long-term benefit. A contract is what I would consider barbaric. Why? Because a contract, I can find some way to get out of.
Yeah,
when I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, commitments and agreements tend to be that way.
Yeah,
but I disagree now. Yeah.
A covenant means that I'm going to lose a part of me. If this doesn't work, some part of me dies with it. You follow? Yeah. It's a deeper commitment. So that's the difference for us. And when we say covenant, there's only one way out. Because if you look at the marriages that were around when before the U.S. started becoming so westernized as we are now, they lasted 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Divorce was like the taboo thing rather than the thing. And that's the piece for us why we call it covenant marriage. Because guess what? When you've made this an oath, when you've made it a covenant instead of a contract, when you get in it, it actually changes you.
Wow.
You see, when you make it a contract, it's easy when things get tough to change your partner.
Yeah.
You know what? You're done. Erase you. I'm finished. Divorce.
Next.
It was real.
Yeah.
Let me go get a new you.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're committed, when you say, look, there is no way out. I don't care how mad you are at me right now. At some point, we got to sit down across the table and work it out. Guess what tends to happen? Humility tends to come in. Ego tends to leave the door. Love tends to stay in the building. There is a different texture to the relationship when you know come hell or high water. It's me and you against the world, baby. That's marriage. That's what it was intended to be. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're getting beat every day, you don't stay there and get changed. The change you're going to change into is death. But what we're saying is when you make not leaving not an option, or I should say when you make leaving not an option, at some point your ego, everything else has to come down. There's so much more
that can happen in a relationship. And the interesting thing is that not a lot of people or couples go into the relationship thinking from that perspective. So they're not even aware of the possibilities that can be created because I'm going to be here next year. So whatever, we have to work it out. So I have to communicate to you what's hurting me. Because if I don't, then I will continue to hurt. But one of the byproducts of staying in being in a covenant marriage is that you also commit to taking care of each other's hearts. Because people can get to the space where, you're not going nowhere, so I can just do whatever I want to. No, you're not in a covenant marriage. A covenant marriage simply means that I'm committed to to not just healing you or bringing healing to your life, but taking care of your heart. So I want to make sure that you're not hurting. You make sure that I'm not hurting. I mean, that's just how it is.
Goes back to your book, serving in that manner.
Absolutely.
Heart surgeons there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue this conversation on the next show. In fact, we've got a couple of heavyweight things that we're going to share next time. So, look forward to you guys on the next show. Take care.
Marriages need lifelong learning. Visit www.covenantmarriageacademy.com. Learn, see, and grow in marital bliss. We have video help, counseling appointments available, and more. The Ndus have solutions specifically for you. Fix love now.